They say life is meant to be lived, not just survived. And yet, somewhere along the way, survival quietly replaced living. Not with a loud collapse, but with small, unnoticed shifts. Days that feel full but strangely empty. Smiles that look real but feel distant. A life that moves forward without you truly being inside it. You wake up, you function, you respond. But do you actually feel alive? Or has something inside you slowly gone silent? This is not laziness. It's not failure. It's something far more subtle and far more human. A quiet forgetting. The forgetting of how to live, not just exist. In this reflection, you will uncover the hidden psychology behind why this happens. And why so many people don't even realize it. Let's begin. There is no single moment where living disappears. It doesn't break, it fades. At first, it looks like responsibility. Your days become structured, predictable. In one scene, your character stands in a crowded office, arms crossed, watching others talk and laugh, but his eyes remain distant, as if he's somewhere else entirely. Then slowly, something shifts. You stop noticing small things. The way sunlight falls on a wall. The feeling of quiet joy for no reason. In another moment, your character sits alone at a desk, scrolling endlessly on his phone, not out of interest, but out of habit. Time passes, but nothing is felt. And the strange part is, everything still looks normal. You are functioning. You are showing up. You are doing what is expected. But inside, there is a quiet emptiness. Later, your character walks through a busy street, people moving around him, yet he moves slowly, almost disconnected, like he's observing life instead of living it. Is this what growing up means? Or is this something else entirely? A slow, invisible drift, away from yourself. It begins earlier than you realize. Not in adulthood, but in quiet moments from the past. You learn, slowly, that being accepted matters more than being real. That stability feels safer than curiosity. That fitting in is rewarded, while feeling deeply is often ignored. In one memory-like scene, your character stands as a child in a classroom, raising his hand halfway, then slowly lowering it, choosing silence over expression. And something subtle happens. You begin to adjust. Not because you want to, but because it feels necessary. Later in life, your character sits at a corporate desk, typing continuously, his posture stiff, his expression neutral. Not stressed, not happy, just controlled. This is where survival quietly becomes identity. You become the reliable one. The calm one. The one who doesn't make things complicated. But at what cost? Because every time you ignore a feeling, every time you silence a part of yourself, something is stored. Like sediment settling at the bottom of a river. Unseen, but slowly changing the flow. In another moment, your character smiles in a group conversation, nodding along, while his eyes briefly drop, revealing a flicker of disconnection. You don't even notice when it happens. The performance becomes natural. The mask becomes comfortable. And eventually, you forget there was ever something underneath it. The mind is not designed to suffer endlessly. So when emotions become too much, it adapts. Not by healing, but by quieting everything. At first, it feels like control. Less overthinking. Less emotional chaos. In one scene, your character sits on his bed late at night, staring at the ceiling, his face calm, almost too calm, as if something inside has stopped reacting altogether. But this calm is not peace. It is absence. Because the mind doesn't selectively numb pain. It numbs everything. Joy becomes softer. Excitement becomes distant. Even meaning begins to blur. Later, your character stands in front of a mirror, adjusting his shirt, looking at himself, but not really seeing himself. His expression is neutral, almost unfamiliar. You start to function like a system. Efficient. Predictable. Stable. But somewhere along the way, you stop feeling like a person. And the strange paradox is this. The more you avoid discomfort, the less alive you feel overall. In another moment, your character sits in a cafe surrounded by people talking and laughing, holding a cup in his hands, yet his gaze drifts away, disconnected from the moment. Everything is happening. Life is moving. But you are slightly outside of it. watching instead of living. And over time, this numbness doesn't feel like a problem. It feels normal. At some point, a quiet awareness begins to return. Not loudly, not all at once. Just a subtle feeling that something is missing. In one moment, your character pauses mid-step on a sidewalk, people moving around him as if time continues, but he stands still, sensing something he cannot fully explain. And this is where the real conflict begins. Because living, truly living, requires feeling. And feeling means opening the door to everything you once learned to avoid. Not just joy, but discomfort, uncertainty, vulnerability. So the mind resists. In another scene, your character sits with a close group of people, laughter filling the space, yet he hesitates before speaking, holding something back, choosing safety over expression. Why does it feel easier to stay numb than to risk being fully alive? Because numbness is predictable. It protects you from the unknown. Like a quiet room where nothing breaks. But nothing grows either. Later, your character stands at a window, looking outside at a world in motion. His reflection faintly visible, as if he exists between two spaces, inside and outside at once. There is a part of you that wants more. More presence. More meaning. More life. And another part that whispers, stay where it's safe. So you remain in between. Not fully lost. But not fully alive either. And this tension is where many people stay for years. There is no dramatic moment where life suddenly returns. No instant transformation. It begins quietly. In a small, almost forgettable moment, your character sits alone on a bench at sunset, his arms no longer tightly crossed, his posture slightly softer, as if something inside has loosened. And for a second, he notices the warmth of the light. Not deeply, not completely, but enough to feel something. Because remembering how to live is not about becoming someone new. It is about noticing what was always there, beneath the noise. In another moment, your character walks slowly through a street, this time not rushing, his eyes briefly observing people, movement, life around him. Nothing extraordinary happens. And yet, it feels different. Because presence is not loud. It does not demand attention. It simply exists, waiting to be felt again. The mind, once guarded and distant, begins to soften. Not by force, but by allowing. Later, your character sits with others again, but this time he speaks, not perfectly, not confidently, but honestly. And something shifts. But inside, like a quiet glow returning after a long darkness. You don't suddenly become alive again. You remember that you never fully stopped being alive. You had only forgotten. If this reflection felt familiar, if something quiet inside you was touched, then perhaps this wasn't just a video. Perhaps it was a reminder that what you're experiencing is not strange, and it's not something you're alone in carrying. Many people move through life like this, present on the outside, but distant within. And yet, there is nothing broken about you, only something that adapted, for reasons that once made sense. If you'd like to stay connected to reflections like this, to a space that explores the quieter, often unspoken parts of the human experience, you're always welcome here. And if you feel like sharing, you can. Not because you have to, but because sometimes your words might help someone else realize they're not alone either. Take care of yourself. You deserve to feel alive again.